Have you ever felt like you're running in place? Like you're putting in a tremendous amount of effort, but something unseen is constantly pulling you back? Often the problem isn't what we need to add to our lives, but rather what we need to remove. Today, we're going to talk about 11 things you can quietly, without fuss or drama, eliminate from your life. This isn't about making massive changes overnight. It's about taking small, almost imperceptible steps that will free up an immense amount of your energy and bring you true peace of mind. Stay with us, because some items on this list might surprise you. In our world, obsessed with success and productivity, we constantly seek new habits, goals, and tasks. We keep adding, and adding, but we rarely pause to consider what needs to be taken away. Imagine your life is a hot air balloon. To fly higher, sometimes you don't need to inflate it more. You simply need to shed the excess ballast. And that's exactly what we'll be doing today. So, let's begin. The first, and perhaps most insidious item on our list, is the constant need for external validation. At first glance it seems harmless. Who doesn't want to be liked? But the problem arises when this desire becomes the main driving force behind your actions. It's that inner critic whispering in your ear. It makes you second-guess your outfit choice, because what will colleagues think? It stops you from speaking up with your idea in a meeting, because what if it sounds stupid? It makes you agree to go somewhere you absolutely don't want to, just to avoid seeming boring or offending someone. Every time you prioritize someone else's opinion over your own, you commit a small act of betrayal against yourself. It's as if you're handing over the remote control of your life to someone else. You're giving away your power. The irony is, in this endless chase for validation, you risk losing what's most valuable, your individuality. You become a reflection of others' expectations rather than a vibrant, authentic person. This real-life pursuit of likes is incredibly draining. It siphons off your mental energy that could be channeled into your goals, passions, and dreams. So how do you quietly eliminate this from your life? Without grand declarations or a rebellion. Start small. Before making a decision, even the most trivial one, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself one simple question. Am I doing this because I want to, or because I think it's what's expected of me? This isn't about selfishness, it's about honesty with yourself. Gradually, little by little, you'll start to hear your own voice more clearly. Your inner compass, which always knows the right direction for you, will become louder than the noise of others' opinions. And this quiet return to yourself, it's an incredibly liberating feeling. All right, let's move on. The second habit you need to gently phase out of your life is complaining without any intention of changing anything. Oh, this is such a classic pitfall. Complaining about the weather, traffic, or your boss is almost a national pastime. It's become a form of communication, a way to gain sympathy and connect with others. You complain, you're understood, heads nod in agreement, and for a fleeting moment it feels like a weight has been lifted. But it's just an illusion. In reality, every complaint is like a tiny anchor holding you in place. It subtly, yet surely, entrenches you in the role of a victim. You're not someone who takes control of situations, but rather someone to whom situations just happen. It's a position of powerlessness. What's more, complaining saps your vital energy. It programs your brain to constantly seek out and notice the negative. The more you focus on the bad, the more bad you'll see around you. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of misery that brings nothing but temporary relief and long-term apathy. A complaint is a substitute for action. It gives the illusion you're doing something about a problem, but in reality, you're just wasting your breath. So, how do you get out of this quicksand? Quietly and without fuss. We're not asking you to become a robot or a perpetually smiling optimist. It's perfectly normal to express dissatisfaction. The key is to change the purpose of that expression. Introduce one simple yet powerful rule for yourself. Let's call it the next step rule. It states, if you're going to voice a complaint, you're obligated to immediately follow it with at least one small step towards solving the problem, or ask for specific help. For example, instead of saying, I'm so fed up with this job. Try saying, this job is draining me. I think I'll dedicate half an hour tonight to updating my resume. Feel the difference. The first phrase is a full stop. The second is an ellipsis, followed by action. Instead of, my boss gave me another impossible task, you could say to a colleague, this task seems unrealistic. Do you have any ideas on how to approach it? You immediately switch from victim mode to solution-seeking mode. It's a small shift, but it changes everything. You stop simply draining your energy and start investing it in improving your life. All right, let's talk about our third point. This is something everyone discusses, yet few actively work on. We're quietly removing from our lives the endless comparison of ourselves to the polished images we see on social media. Yes, we all know it's harmful. But let's go a bit deeper. It's not just passively scrolling through other people's photos. It's actively participating in a game you can never win. Why? Because you're comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. You're seeing a filtered, carefully selected, edited version of someone else's life. It's their best moments, their most flattering angles, their brightest smiles. And you're comparing that to your own full 24-hour reality, which includes fatigue, self-doubt, and a pile of unwashed dishes. That's just not fair to yourself. It's like comparing a movie trailer to all the raw footage, including the bloopers. This habit is a master thief. It quietly steals the joy from your own achievements. Did you get a promotion? Great! But your old classmate just launched their own business. Did you finally go on vacation? Wonderful, but someone in your feed is relaxing in the Maldives. Comparison instantly devalues your own real, hard-earned success. It makes you feel like you're constantly falling behind, that you're not good enough, not successful enough, not happy enough. So, how do we quietly get rid of this? You don't necessarily have to go on a digital detox and delete all your accounts, though that can certainly help. The most important shift has to occur in your mindset. Embrace the practice of conscious consumption. When you catch yourself comparing, stop. Acknowledge the moment and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Envy? Admiration? Discouragement? Then take the next step. Instead of dwelling in that feeling, try to reframe it. Find not a reason for self-deprecation in someone else's success, but a source of inspiration. Not, why don't I have that? But, what can I apply from this to my own life, on my own scale? If someone ran a marathon, it doesn't mean you have to do the same, but perhaps it can inspire you to take a short morning jog, and most importantly, quietly, without any announcements, start keeping track of your own victories. Keep a simple note on your phone or in a notebook where you'll jot down 3 small things each day that you're grateful for or proud of. I cooked a delicious dinner. I finished a chapter of my book. I helped a colleague. This simple act will slowly but surely recalibrate your focus. You'll stop comparing yourself not to others, but to the person you were yesterday. And that's the only comparison that truly makes sense. The fourth piece of ballast we're quietly shedding from our balloon is paralyzing perfectionism. It's a cunning enemy. It masquerades as a virtue. I'm not lazy. I just want to do everything perfectly, we tell ourselves. Sounds noble, doesn't it? But in reality, this perceived perfectionism often serves as nothing more than a convenient disguise for our fears. The fear of failure, the fear of criticism, the fear that the outcome won't be as brilliant as we imagine. Ultimately, this pursuit of perfection often leads to inaction. We endlessly plan, refine, search for the perfect moment, read just one more book on the subject, but we never actually get to the main event, taking action. The perfect project stays trapped in our minds. The perfect book never gets written. The perfect business never launches. Perfectionism, in essence, becomes the ultimate form of procrastination. Consider this. Done is always better than perfect that's never started. The world doesn't move forward because of idealists waiting for perfect conditions, but because of pragmatists who make the best of what they have right now. So how do we quietly defeat this inner tyrant? There's no need to declare war on perfectionism. Instead, embrace the concept of good enough. First, start setting firm deadlines for yourself, even for personal projects. A deadline forces you to stop polishing details and focus on simply getting the task done. Second, try the 5-minute rule. If you're dreading a big task, promise yourself to work on it for just 5 minutes. Anyone can commit to 5 minutes. The trick is, starting is often the hardest part. Once you get into the flow, it's often harder to stop. Those 5 minutes often turn into 15, and then half an hour. And third, reframe your perspective on mistakes. A mistake isn't a condemnation or proof of your incompetence. It's simply data. It's feedback from reality, showing you what needs adjustment. The greatest inventions and discoveries weren't made on the first attempt. They were the result of hundreds, even thousands, of imperfect experiments. Quietly, give yourself permission to be imperfect. Allow yourself a first draft, a trial run, the freedom to make mistakes. You'll be amazed at how much energy and freedom this liberates. And most importantly, you'll finally start taking action. And now, for the 5th point. This one is perhaps the most challenging. The resentments you carry. Imagine your brain as a computer with countless open browser tabs. Resentment in this analogy is the most resource-heavy tab. It's constantly running in the background, even when you're trying to focus on other tasks. It keeps replaying the same painful scene from the past, and it consumes an enormous amount of your RAM, your vital energy. Because of this open tab, other crucial processes begin to lag. Your present joy, your ability to trust new people, your concentration at work or in your studies. You're waiting for the moment to show this tab to the person who hurt you and exclaim, "Look what you've done to my system." But the truth is, that person has likely long since closed their browser and doesn't even remember it. Meanwhile, you're stuck with a frozen computer that's only lagging for you. This is precisely why we speak of liberation. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. It doesn't mean saying everything was okay or excusing bad behavior. Absolutely not. It means simply moving your cursor to that energy-draining tab and clicking the X to close it. It's an act of essential maintenance for your own soul. You're not justifying a virus, you're simply deleting it from your hard drive so your entire system can run fast and efficiently again. How can you do this quietly and for yourself? Try the closing the account technique. Take a sheet of paper and write down everything. No censorship. All the pain, all the injustice, all the unspoken words. Imagine you're issuing an invoice for the damage caused. Once you're finished, take a fresh sheet of paper and write a single declaration addressed to yourself. For example, I acknowledge this pain. It was real. But from this moment forward, I am closing this account. I refuse to pay it any longer. With my time, health, and happiness, I am reclaiming my energy. Then destroy that first sheet, the invoice. Burn it, tear it up, dispose of it. Close that tab once and for all. Grant yourself the freedom to move forward. So the 6th item on our list to eliminate. It's the habit of saying yes when every fibre of your being screams no. This is a very common social trap. We say yes to avoid seeming selfish, yes to avoid conflict, yes to be liked and valued. Essentially, we're buying other people's approval at the cost of our own time, energy, and peace of mind. And that's a terrible deal. Every forced yes is a micro-betrayal of yourself. It's like taking out a small loan from your future self. At first, it seems like no big deal, but these debts accumulate, and one day you find yourself knee-deep in debt, burnt out, resentful, feeling like your life isn't your own. You're living on someone else's schedule and for someone else's goals. Learning to say no isn't about becoming heartless or indifferent. It's about taking stock of your resources, your time, your energy, your attention. These are not infinite supplies, and you have every right to decide how to spend them. A quiet, confident no is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. So, how do you start practicing this gently without a revolution? Firstly, realize that saying no to a request isn't saying no to the person. You're declining a specific invitation or task, not rejecting the individual. That's a key distinction. Secondly, use the sandwich technique. Start with something positive, then state your refusal, and end on a positive or neutral note. For example, "Thanks so much for thinking of me and inviting me. Unfortunately, I really can't make it this Saturday. I already have plans, but I hope you all have a fantastic time." This softens the refusal, but keeps it firm. And thirdly, just remember this. Every time you say a well-deserved no to someone, you're saying yes to something important for yourself. Yes to rest. Yes to your own projects. Yes to family time. Yes to your inner peace. And that's the yes that truly matters. Seventh on our list of things to quietly eliminate, the pervasive guilt about resting. In our culture obsessed with productivity and success, rest is often perceived as a sign of laziness. Idleness can almost feel like a crime. From a young age, we're taught to constantly be busy, always striving for something. And if we suddenly catch ourselves just sitting and doing nothing, a nagging worm of guilt starts to gnaw within us. I could be working right now. I could be studying. I could be cleaning. Sound familiar? This inner critic, however, fails to grasp a simple truth, proven by both science and the experience of the most successful people. Rest is not the opposite of work. It's an essential, indispensable part of it. Imagine a marathon runner. Do they train 24/7? Of course not. They know that recovery, sleep, and proper nutrition are just as vital for victory as the training itself. Muscles need rest to grow and become stronger. The exact same principle applies to our brain and our creativity. When you rest, you're not losing time. You're investing it. You're giving your brain the opportunity to process information, to reboot, and to discover new unconventional solutions. The most brilliant ideas often surface, not when we're intensely wrestling with a problem, but when we're relaxed, in the shower, on a leisurely walk, or simply taking a break. So, how can you quietly shed this guilt about doing nothing? Start by treating rest as seriously as you treat your work. Put it on your calendar. Schedule a nothing hour, just as you would an important meeting. When it becomes a deliberate part of your plan, the guilt begins to recede. You're not being lazy, you're simply fulfilling a crucial part of your schedule. Additionally, try rephrasing your internal monologue. Instead of thinking, "I'm just idling," tell yourself, "I'm restoring my energy," or "I'm recharging my batteries." Words have immense power. By consciously changing your vocabulary, you fundamentally shift your attitude toward the entire process. And remember, you are human, not a robot. Your worth isn't measured by the number of tasks you complete. Quietly give yourself permission to rest, without a trace of guilt. This is one of the kindest and most truly productive things you can do for yourself. Our eighth point might seem incredibly simple, even mundane, but its impact on our mental well-being is profound. It's about quietly shedding physical and digital clutter. Look around you. A desk piled high with papers, a closet overflowing with clothes you haven't worn in years, dozens of open browser tabs, hundreds of unread emails, thousands of unnecessary photos on your phone. All of this isn't just mess, it's constant visual noise. Every unnecessary item, every desktop icon, every notification, it's a tiny irritant, constantly competing for your attention and subtly draining your mental energy. Our brains subconsciously register all of this. The clutter around you mirrors and fuels clutter in your mind. It hinders your ability to focus, causes subconscious anxiety, and creates a pervasive feeling that things are out of control. Decluttering isn't just about cleaning. It's a form of meditation. It's a way to reclaim control over your environment and consequently over your inner state. When you let go of the old and unnecessary, you free up space, not just physical, but mental, for what's new, important, and truly meaningful. So, how do you quietly begin this process without turning it into a week-long deep clean? Try the one-box method. Grab an ordinary cardboard box and every day for just 10 to 15 minutes, simply walk around your home and put everything you don't need into it. Anything broken, anything that brings back bad memories, or simply anything that's just cluttering up your space. When the box is full, simply dispose of it. No complex decisions needed. Just focus on freeing up space. The same principle applies to your digital world. Spend 10 minutes unsubscribing from unnecessary newsletters you never read anyway. Delete apps from your phone you haven't used in the last month. Close all browser tabs except the ones you need right now. These are small, almost imperceptible actions, yet their cumulative effect is astonishing. You'll feel it becoming easier to breathe, your thoughts growing clearer, and a sense of greater order and calm emerging in your life. Quiet decluttering is truly one of the fastest ways to improve your overall well-being. Point number 9, and it concerns the most important person you talk to, the one you're constantly communicating with, 24 hours a day. We're quietly putting an end to negative self-talk. We're talking about your inner critic, that voice in your head that constantly comments on your actions. And unfortunately, for many of us, this voice isn't a kind friend, but a harsh and critical judge. It says, "Oh great, you messed that up again. You'll never be able to do that. You look stupid. Why can't you be more like him or her?" This voice points out every mistake, exaggerates every failure, and belittles every achievement. If one of our friends spoke to us in that tone, we would have cut ties with them long ago. But for some reason, we allow this voice to run unchecked in our heads. This constant stream of self-criticism is a direct path to low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. It clips your wings before you even try to fly. It convinces you of your incompetence and makes you afraid to try new things. So how do we quietly tame this inner tyrant? The first step is awareness. Start by simply noticing this voice. When you catch yourself having a negative thought about yourself, don't beat yourself up about it. Just simply observe. Ah, there's my inner critic again. Simply observing it already strips it of some of its power. The second step, ask it a question. When the voice says, "You can't do it," ask it, "What proof do you have?" I've handled tough challenges before. Engage it in a dialogue, challenge its claims. It often turns out that this critic has no real arguments besides fear. And the third, most powerful step, imagine someone you deeply love and respect, a child, a best friend, a partner. Now ask yourself, would you say the same words to them that you just said to yourself? Most likely not. You would find words of support, encouragement, and empathy. So quietly start talking to yourself the way you would talk to the person you love most. Practice self-compassion. Instead of, "I'm such a loser," say, "Yes, today was a tough day, but I did everything I could. Tomorrow, I'll try again." This shift from self-criticism to self-support is a quiet revolution that happens within you, but completely changes everything on the outside. Moving on to our 10th point, this is a very common mental trap, one that even the smartest people fall into. It's the insidious habit of quietly waiting for the perfect moment. I'll start exercising on Monday. I'll launch my business when I've saved enough money. I'll start writing my book when the kids are grown and I have more time. I'll ask for a raise and when I finish this project and prove my worth. We constantly put off living our lives, waiting for some mythical, perfect moment. A moment when all the stars align, all conditions are ideal, and we are completely ready. But here's the harsh truth. There is no perfect moment, ever. There will always be something amiss. There will always be obstacles, doubts, a lack of time or resources. Waiting for the perfect moment is simply a very elaborate form of procrastination, fueled by our fear. Fear of beginning, fear of making mistakes, fear of not being ready. While you wait, life passes you by. Opportunities are missed. Dreams gather dust. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So, how do you quietly stop waiting and start taking action? Embrace the imperfect start principle. Just start with what you have right now. You don't need a perfect plan. Your first step doesn't have to be a giant leap. Let it be a tiny, almost imperceptible step. Want to start running? Don't wait for Monday or for buying expensive running shoes. Just put on what you have and go for a 10-minute brisk walk. Today, want to write a book? Don't wait for inspiration. Open a document and write one paragraph. Just one. The secret is that action creates motivation, not the other way around. We often think we need motivation first to start acting, but in reality, the opposite is true. As soon as you take the first step, you get your first feedback, your first small result, and that ignites a spark within you that pushes you to take the next step. Quietly let go of the illusion of the perfect moment. Understand that the best moment to start living the life you dream of is right now, with what you have, in the circumstances you're in. Just take the first step. And finally, for our 11th and final point, the cherry on top of our mental decluttering journey. Quietly, yet firmly, let go of the habit of over-explaining and justifying your decisions. You've decided to change jobs, and instantly you feel compelled to give all your friends and family a lengthy explanation about why the old one was so bad and why this new one is absolutely the right choice. Or you opt out of a class reunion, only to craft an elaborate essay of excuses so no one will think ill of you. Maybe you just want to spend an evening at home instead of hitting the bar, and find yourself inventing convoluted reasons rather than simply saying, "Thanks, but I'll pass this time." Why do we do this? As we discussed earlier, it stems from insecurity and that deep-seated need for external validation. It's as if we're constantly seeking permission from those around us to make our own choices. We crave validation, that our decisions are right, good, and well-founded. We fear that simply stating our decision will lead to judgment or misunderstanding. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your life. Your decisions, concerning your person, your career, your time, and your values, are yours alone. Full stop. Over-explaining doesn't just drain your energy, it subtly weakens your stance. It's as if you're implicitly saying, "I'm not entirely confident in my own choice, so please validate it for me." This opens the door to unsolicited advice, criticism, and attempts to sway your opinion. So how do you quietly break free from this habit? Practice an information diet. Share only the necessary amount of information with people, nothing more. Instead of a lengthy monologue about why you left your job, simply say, "I decided it was time to move forward in my career and accepted a new opportunity." Instead of elaborate excuses for your absence, just state, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it this time." Get comfortable with simple, concise replies. Things like, "No, thank you. That's my decision. This works better for me." This isn't rudeness, it's confidence. It's a quiet declaration that you trust yourself and your choices. You are the captain of your own ship, and you don't need to get every passenger's approval for every turn of the wheel. This is your journey, and you have every right to chart your own course. And here's the crucial point. Do you see how it all connects? Your need for approval turns you into a yes person, constantly justifying your actions. Comparing yourself to others fuels negative self-talk, and the fear of making mistakes, or perfectionism, feeds your inner critic, trapping you in a cycle of waiting for that elusive, perfect moment that never arrives. It's a silent, self-defeating loop that slowly drains your energy and joy. What's truly powerful here is that you don't need to prove anything to anyone to break free from this. No grand gestures or loud declarations are required. This is your quiet, inner revolution. As you let go of these things, one by one, you're not losing anything. You're gaining. You gain freedom, energy, and most importantly, yourself. This isn't selfishness. It's essential self-care for your inner well-being. Eliminating these 11 things isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. It's about clearing space for what truly matters, for joy, for creativity, for peace, and for the people who accept you just as you are. It's about shifting your focus back to yourself, your true desires, and your inner peace. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. If you found this helpful and it gave you something to think about, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new episodes. Now, a question for you. What's the one thing from this list you're ready to shed first? Or perhaps you have your own number 12 that helps you live a lighter life. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss it together.